We did a What's News, looking at what's coming up for the MCU. But now it's time for a flashback. We're going to be preparing for Captain America Brave New World, not by looking forward, but looking back at the history of Cap, the history of Hulk, the history of Thor. And it's going to be a blast. Why? Because I'm Joshua Noel. Who cares about that? But I'm here with someone who makes every time a good time. Ryan Does. Ryan.
Good time.
the
That was actually the line, the bio line in my dating profile. Every time is a good time. not a great time. It's like an average time.
Every time is an average time.
I think I can
never
hear
bad.
The other room being like, "He's lying to all of you."
Man, you know that used to be my pitch to try and get people to go to Jack in the Box.
Okay.
Because here's my take. This might be a terrible evil take of me. Yeah. After like a hike or something, Jack in the Box has never once when I have gone been bad. It's never been great. I'm not even sure it's ever been good, but it's never been bad. It is consistently okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, the thing with like a restaurant like Jack in the Box was we don't have a lot of here in the Midwest.
Yeah.
But you know what you're getting, and you know what level of quality to expect. So if you're disappointed after a Jack in the Box experience, that's on you. That's not on Jack in the Box.
Yeah, you just didn't know what Jack in the Box was. That's your fault.
Right. Like Kim, my wife, Kim has a like similar taste with like Taco Bell, and whenever she's like, "Oh, we should get Taco Bell," I'm like, "Okay, cool, yeah."
We could. I actually do love Taco Bell.
I'm not stoked to get Taco Bell though. If you take me to like a really good Tex-Mex place, I'm infinitely more down for that.
Yeah,
but
that's
like,
true.
Taco Bell is the Jack in the Box of Tex-Mex food, Joshua. That's my hot take. It's not really hot of a take.
I think the thing is like I don't think of Taco Bell as Tex-Mex. I think of it as like. Actually, that's not true. The thing is, I don't like Taco Bell if I think about it. I only like it if I don't think at all until after I eat it. Like, if I'm not thinking about what this is, it's wonderful. It's great. I get that double beef burrito with, like, all the nacho cheese that's almost certainly not cheese. But if I'm not thinking about that, man, I love it.
Yeah, no. By the way, this all foul. It's like very euphemistic. It's like, if I don't think about it, I can get up for it. Like, I'm the same way with the Supreme Chalupas. Like, give me a Supreme Chalupa any day of the week, and I am a subservient Ryan the rest of the day. Like I'm down. But Joshua, I have a feeling you did not be on to talk about Taco Bell.
Oh yeah. Well, you know, they used to have like those Taco Bell deals when certain franchises come out. So we're actually officially sponsored by Taco Bell. Here to announce. No, I'm just kidding. I wish that were true. It is not.
The cease and desist letter is behind.
It's fine. Don't worry about it, guys. Man, no. Yeah. I try. There's something else I was going to say that's like that if I don't think about it, but maybe I shouldn't harp on this and move on to like real topics.
Somebody doesn't listen. Does
like why do why are people so excited that the greatest Thor podcaster in the world is here? It's because they know your legacy at Across the Bifrost. And if they don't, somehow they've been living under a rock, Ryan. You want to unpack a little bit about like what is it you do? Like you have two other podcasts, Give Me Church, which is wonderful, a little less relevant to this show, but we're going to have you on the Whole Church podcast, also in network with Lana Zhao, to talk more about skipping church. Yeah. So while we get you here, though, with all the geeks, unpack some about what you do with Thor at Across the Bifrost.
You're right. I do want to talk a little bit more about skipping church later on because I have listeners of this podcast might be interested in our newest episode.
I'm really excited for that one. Yeah,
handsome co-host that I'm working with tonight. But yeah, there's a lot of fun. But Thor doing Across the Bifrost has been 3 years of. Honestly, I started that podcast because a friend of mine said, it was post-pandemic, we were all, every white guy that looks like me had a podcast. So we're like, whatever, let's roll the dice, let's do it. And he said, do 10 episodes about a topic you just love, and then see what happens. So now, 3 years later, we're entering the fourth, I think fourth calendar year. 2025 is our fourth year that we'll be doing Across the Bifrost. We talk about new comics. We talk about older comics. We just finished up. Well, we're finishing up a series on Walt Simonson's run of Thor, one of the classic legendary runs with the character. That one's been a lot of fun. I have a few co-hosts. One that was very familiar to people here on Systematic Ecology, but Will Rose pops in from time to time and talks to us because Thor is on his pull list for comics, so makes sense that Will would talk Thor with us. And then two other co-hosts, Faz and Eric. They love Thor more than I do. Like, I'll just say that. Like, I may be the Thor guy when we go to beer camp or when I'm on shows like this, Joshua, but those two know more about Thor than I could ever hope to know. They're currently, listen how crazy this is. They are currently reading through every issue of Thor ever.
Wait, what?
70 to 100 in. I think the goal is they read it all this year.
Well, let them know, in my humble opinion, if they don't also include the original Norse documents, that's not every issue.
Okay, I will pass along that message. But yeah, Across the Bifrost is a lot of fun. Every so often we have creator interviews. Actually, just 2 episodes ago, we had the editor of Thor on to review an issue with us. We've got some other creator interviews in the works. I'm really excited about it. Like, 2025 is going to be a great year for Thor, and we're excited to see what happens in his comics and in any Marvel related news that happens with it.
Man, yeah. I am I've never been a huge Thor guy, but you make me excited for Thor. It's usually more of like in my mind, this is so weird. Like I'll hear something coming out with Thor and I'm like, man, I can't wait to hear Ryan talk about it. Like, I'm not even like, I can't wait for the content. I'm like, I can't wait for the content about the content.
It is kind of funny how like that is more common than you'd think. When people are like, oh, Thor, cool. Chris Hemsworth, right? And then, they'll check out the podcast and be like, oh, that's a lot more than I thought it was in terms of just the content and what we're able to talk about.
Oh, yeah. I mean, from what I understand, you even talked about Donald Duck on there once.
We did, because this last year, Joshua, you did join me for that issue, didn't you?
Oh, yeah. That was great.
Yeah. Joshua was on this last summer, late summer. We talked about an issue, a one-shot where Donald Duck becomes worthy to lift Mjolnir, and it was zany as hell.
Great.
That was a really fun episode, brother.
Oh yeah. So that's the thing. If you guys like Ryan and you like Thor or anything geeky, really, you got to check out Across the Bifrost. In my humble opinion, I think one thing we do really good at Systematic Ecology is like we have a good group of hosts and we interact well.
Yeah.
But like, I don't think there's very many people that I could be like they have the interview skill level of like Ryan Doe's. Like not like honestly, like as a listener, I'm like, man, you can make me interested in anything. And then also there's this thing of like, when I've been interviewed by you, I'm like, man, I feel so good about myself afterwards. I'm like, I kind of like, I have a bad day and I'm like, damn, I just wish Ryan Doe's would interview me right now.
I appreciate it, man. Honestly, like I used to take the super humble route with this, where I'd be like, no, I'm not good at it. But honestly, I thank you for saying that, because I do work really hard on it.
Yeah,
and
that's.
I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy asking questions of other people.
Yeah, I mean that's something I have to work on too. Not being like, no, I'm a terrible podcaster, because I'm like, actually, if I call myself a terrible podcaster, that makes people not interested in the show. And so I've been. Man, guys, we're getting off the rails, but it's fine. It's evening. That's what happens in the evening. Yeah.
Get friends, get together.
Yeah, I mean, this was really more of an excuse to talk to Ryan than it was an episode. Sorry, guys, but no, man. Like I've been getting more into like the Taoist stuff that I've been interested in for a long time, and one of the things that's been really challenging to me, Lao Tzu has this you don't make too much of yourself or too little of yourself. And I feel like the Christian circles I grew up in is like always humility, always don't make too much of yourself. And like you're drilled into your head and you're a worm, a worthless worm. And then he's like, no, don't do either. Because if you make too much of yourself, people are going to put you down and put you in your place. And if you make too little of yourself, then that makes everybody else kind of not want to be around you. Because it almost has that like opposite effect thing, right? Where like you're putting yourself down. Like when you call yourself a bad interviewer, I'm like, well, hell, what's that make me? Actually, makes me think of my grandfather. This is really, I promise we're going to get back on the rail after this. Makes me think of my grandfather. We played golf with him once, right?
Okay.
It's because it's something he loved to do. And he had we all hit our balls and we barely went anywhere. And then he went like flying way out there somewhere, but it like was slightly off the green. He's like, you know what? A blind man with one leg and no arms could have hit that. And we're like, well, what does that make us? So, yeah.
Josh,
yeah.
Speaking of guys hitting their own balls and not getting anywhere, I feel like the first few minutes of this show has been the two guys just absolutely not really getting anywhere. And we should probably talk about Captain America because there's a fantastic movie about to come out.
Gosh, yeah, I can't wait. All right, let me run through some stuff. If you guys are live, if you do end up jumping in and you want to shout out where you're from, let me know. I'll throw it up on the screen because I like live people. But right now, I don't see anybody. So if you guys join later, just do that. It'd be cool. If you're on a laptop, consider rating and reviewing on Podchaser or GoodPod. That helps our show with search engines, something about algorithms. I don't know. You're probably on YouTube, so just like and subscribe there. If we get like 50 likes on anything, Will's either going to frolic through flowers or snow or something. He mentioned a swimsuit. I assume he means a Speedo.
Do that if you don't get 50.
Yeah.
I think that's just his afternoon.
Yeah, it's just whether or not he'll video it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, you see, his recent trip to Utah where he was snowboarding. Man,
that would have been a great place to frolic in a Speedo through the snow.
Yeah, like Speedo snowboarding is what I was really hoping we'd get. But, there's always next time.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah. Also, if you guys are supporting the show on Apple Podcasts, Captivate, or Patreon, we really appreciate you for your support. Special shout out to Amber Riley today. She's one of our sponsors. If you want your own shout out, you can support the show for $3 a month or more on one of those three platforms, Apple Podcasts, Captivate, or Patreon. I think that's all of the legwork. Before we get to like normal like comic stuff that we're going to get into.
Yeah.
I kind of want to just kind of hear what else you've been into lately. So I thought it might be cool if we did a little bit of a lightning round.
Absolutely.
With the one and only God of Thunder.
Yes. Thematic and appropriate. Hit me with
it. Yeah. So what have you been geeking out on? Just like spit out as much stuff as possible. You don't even have to give context.
Okay, so been reading quite a few comics lately. I just got caught up with the Absolute Wonder Woman series that is killer. Kelly Thompson is a master of the craft of writing comics. And also, like, I'm a huge Aquaman fan. I have an Aquaman tattoo. It's the first tattoo I ever got. It's all over my forearm. It's gigantic. And Aquaman just had his own book come back onto the DC line. And it's so good, Joshua. Like it's monster fights. It's like intergalactic spacefaring pirate stuff. It's fantastic. I really am enjoying it. Can't wait for issue 2 to come out next month. And honestly, man, I've been getting hyped for a few movies that are coming out. I want to see Nosferatu. I want to see Wolfman. There's a movie coming out called Mickey 17 that I'm really hyped about.
Oh.
It's got Robert Pattinson in it. I'm very excited for these like upcoming things because I'm getting out of the doldrums of Christmas and New Year's, and I'm kind of just like, okay, I have all this stuff to look forward to. That's fun. That's enjoyable. And I think I just finished my 9th or 10th rewatch of Family Guy. For the
nice.
New season that's going to happen in 2025. Will it be good? My hopes are low, but I always enjoy a Seth MacFarlane joke here and there. Yeah, that's all I can think of off the top. Well, I mean, I'm also a big basketball fan, so I'm repping my Milwaukee Bucks tonight. I love Milwaukee Bucks basketball too, so I guess I'm geeking out on on Bucks basketball too. So that's all I can think of off the top of my head, man.
Nice. Yeah, I was gonna mention that Aquaman for myself too. I wasn't sure if that was part of the Absolute series or not, because like I know nothing about what's going on in DC other than the other comic I'm reading is that new Justice League that started. I'm trying to think of when it started. I know the second issue came out literally like Christmas Day or something.
The Justice League Unlimited.
Yeah. I've enjoyed that so far, even though I think it's been pretty predictable. It's still fun.
Third issue came out today.
Today, did it really?
My boy Aquaman is in the last 3 pages.
God.
The last 3 pages, Joshua, if you think the first 2 issues have been predictable, the last 3 pages of issue 3 are very unpredictable.
Perfect. Well, that's what I'm going to be geeking out on right after this. Also, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep's like 15th anniversary just happened or something. So obviously, the creator was like, hey, remember all these crossroads? That's going to be significant for Kingdom Hearts 4 that like if we follow the trajectory, it'll probably be in like 10 years when that comes out. But naturally, I'm like, well, I got to play every single game and look for these crossroads now. So I've been doing that. Planning maybe a potential episode with Nick Polk and some people that I've been meaning to invite Ryan to, but I kept forgetting.
Come on. Nick Polk's overrated if you personally ask me.
Well,
he's so nice, so charming. And
he is very nice and charming.
We get it.
And handsome, But no, we've started a Nick Polk cult on the show. I don't know if you've been paying attention to that. Yeah. TJ, I don't know why Nick came up out of all reasons. Like I used him as an example when we were talking about Dead Space and the cult in there. And for some reason I used him as an example and TJ was like, yeah, so the Nick Polk cult. And I'm like, sure. And then that just keeps getting brought up. So I guess we're starting that cult now. Yeah. But no, for real, have him. Josh Patterson might be involved. We're unsure. I'm going to invite Ryan as soon as I remember to. Actually, I guess I'm inviting him right now.
Gosh, you're bringing up some of my least favorite people in the whole world.
No, but we're going to be doing an episode on the Alias comics from back in the day in the Jessica Jones Netflix series. Okay. Because it was inspired by a Whole Church episode, weirdly enough, where they're talking about love and controlling and whether or not all loving God can ever control someone. And I'm like, well,
Ooh.
Mr. Purple, Mr. Kilgrave there has got a lot to say about whether or not you can both be loving and controlling. So we're going to talk about it.
Coercive love of God.
Is God like Kilgrave? And I hope not. I really hope not. Also, what a bad guy name. Whoever came up with that was like, I know the baddest bad guy name. Kilgrave. It's perfect. But no, so I'm excited about that, getting into those again. Also been trying to catch up on the current, or I think it's still current, Swamp Thing run. God, there's a lot there, and it's dense. The problem is the same problem I had when I tried to catch up with Ice Cream Man, where like I would read something, and every now and then there would just be an issue that hit you, and you're like, well, I can't keep binging. I literally have to stop and breathe right now.
Yeah. I honestly, dude, one of the last times we talked, we got around to talking about our mutual love of Aaron Sorkin shows. Watching the Newsroom. I'm like 4 episodes away from being done with the Newsroom, and I got to that episode where, yeah, dude, you talk about the Newsroom without me, there will be fisticuffs. I'll find wherever this new house is.
I've also been geeking out on my new house. No, truly, this is like the weirdest geek thing, and we'll end the lightning round. I've been dying to get my Indiana Jones poster behind me again. I've done way too many recordings without Indiana Jones behind me.
Absolutely.
I need him having my back. And like all of the memes on my Instagram right now of Elon Musk followed by Harrison Ford doing the I hate Nazis. I'm like, I've lived for the day where this would be relevant. I just wished it wasn't, relevant. Oh, man. But now, time for the main event. We got to get ready. We have to get ready for the new Captain America movie. And what other way would you do that other than, reading like a Thor comic?
Right?
Yeah. So I got 2 picked out that I thought would be fun to talk about that we're going to get into as much as we can. Sorry, I just ADHD'd myself. Hold Hulk #5 by Jeff Loeb. And then we're also going to talk about Thor 390 by Tom DeFalco. Also, there's like whole teams on there. That's just like, if you look up that name, you can find out all the other information. So like having a name associated with it helps me. Listing all the names just gets too much for my little head. But let's start with Hulk, actually, since that's the one you recommended me when I was like, hey, Red Hulk, Thor, did this ever happen? And you were like, oh, there's an action-packed comic. Let me tell you all about it. You want to unpack some of this? What is Hulk #5, issue 5 all about here?
So this is, and I'm by no means a Hulk expert, but this is a really fun run because Jeff Loeb, anybody who knows this name from comics, he's probably most famous for the Batman Hush story, but he was doing this run on Hulk and no one knew who Red Hulk was yet. Like, it hadn't been revealed that Thunderbolt Ross was Red Hulk. So different people are trying to take their hand at stopping this Red Hulk. And this issue, it comes after issue 4, where in San Francisco, Red Hulk has stopped the Green Hulk, the original Hulk, and Thor shows up in the last page of that previous book and says basically, dude, your rampage stops now. I'm about to whoop that ass. And so this issue is an entire fight between Red Hulk and Thor, and so many crazy things happen in this fight. There's very little dialogue in the first half of this comic because it's just a smash 'em up issue. Red Hulk finds a way, or really Jeff Loeb as a writer finds a way around the worthiness enchantment, because Red Hulk is not worthy to lift Mjolnir, but in zero gravity, he's able to use the hammer on Thor in the very don't reaches of subspace. They fly all the way up there, and Red Hulk takes care of Thor, which don't love that. Don't love seeing it. Thor 390 is much more uplifting, but then Red Hulk goes back to Earth, and he's met by a revived Green Hulk, and then Iron Man, who is at this point the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. after the Mark Millar Civil War story, which is, I believe, I've told Joshua this in the past, Civil War is my favorite event that Marvel has ever done. And
I second this.
It's always relevant. It's such a great story, and Mark Millar is such a great writer. But yeah, he's met by Iron Man, and Ben Grimm is there. Listeners of Across the Bifrost will know I'm a huge Ben Grimm fan. Love the Thing. Actually, Joshua, the Thing is a top 5 Marvel character for me, and it's not even really close. Like I'm a Ben Grimm fan. So that's how
he's slowly making it up there for me. Yeah, after that one like miniseries, was it last year, the year before, or something like that?
Yeah, the Steve Skroce miniseries where he teams up with like the Hulk and Wolverine, and that I really loved that series. It was a lot of fun. But yeah, that's how Hulk 5 ends, man. It's really just a fight issue. Meanwhile, they're trying to unravel this mystery of who is the Red Hulk.
Yeah, going in without any context, just reading the one issue, I was like, this is fun. Until like both of these issues have some weird stuff that they do with Vamir that I'm like, okay. Red Hulk just goes, as long as Thor's holding hammer, I jump in space. Hammer have no weight.
I mean,
and he just literally just jumps to space.
It's so simple that it's genius.
Yeah. I am trying to figure out some stuff about Red Hulk. I remember seeing the different colored Hulks. This is weird. In the animated series, like the 1980s animated series.
Okay.
And they're like bits and pieces I remember from that seem to not necessarily carry over to like other stuff. So I seem to I was under the impression that like Red Hulk was like angrier Hulk, stronger Hulk kind of deal. And this just kind of seems like he's just a Hulk, but red instead of green.
Right. And by the way, Josh, I don't mean to comic book guy you, but the Red Hulk was created like 15 years ago. So I don't know what you were watching. I think it might have
What?
been. Was it Hulk Agents of Smash?
No, there's a.
That series is
I'm gonna
awesome.
look up what this was.
Okay, cool.
Oh,
Red Hulk is. I think Red Hulk has grown and matured in the characterization. But yeah, I mean, it seems like it started out as more just an angrier, different color coded Hulk. But now, like Thunderbolt Ross being the Red Hulk for so long, I think they've really kind of distinguished the characters well. It'll get to a suggestion later on if people want to read more Red Hulk. I have a suggestion of something that you could check out that really highlights the difference between Bruce Banner and Thunderbolt Ross. We are in the middle of a phone call, I believe. But Red Hulk is a more recent character, listeners, that I think could easily have been like a one hit, kind of like one time villain, but has really not just been like a rogues gallery member for Hulk, but also become a really important supporting cast. Because often Red Hulk pushes Thor in a way that other people either can't or other people won't, especially in the Hulk Agents of Smash animated show, which is, again, a fantastic version of this character, voiced by one of my favorite voice actors of all time, Clancy Brown, famous for so many different roles, most famously Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob. But yeah, that's a great thing to check out if you want more Red Hulk.
I think I figured it out. I think I was thinking of Grey Hulk this whole time.
Oh yeah.
I think I confused those two things.
Grey Hulk is a vibe. Yeah, Grey Hulk is way different because
not Red Hulk at all.
Go fix it.
Yeah. Ah, man. Sorry. There are a lot of different Hulks. I apparently am easily confused.
We even see A-Bomb in this comic as well. A-Bomb is another version of a Hulk.
Yeah. The issue was a lot of fun though. A lot of smash 'em up, beat 'em up things. I've always I've always found General Ross to be one of those characters that I'm like, I love when he's in a comic. Not because he's like a great foil or anything. It's just like his character is, I think what it is, it's so realistic that it's able to make me go, okay, so what if this did play out in real world? Because like General Ross is one of those things that you could see him existing in real world. Like I see him. I'm like, yeah. All right. Okay. Thor 390. I got this Tom DeFalco. Avengers Assemble.
Friends, Brett Breeding, Ralph Macchio. Come on. This is where I live.
I'm bad with names. This is why I listen to Across the Bifrost to hear other names that I don't know.
Damn right.
Oh man. So this was interesting because like it's like guest featuring Captain America. This is like the Captain America Thor buddy film, but it's also definitely an Avengers comic. It's so interesting. So Thor just kind of lands in the middle of apparently Avengers have their own island. I was very clueless going into this issue, going, okay, I think I missed this particular era of comics at some point. It has the Black Knight in it, and like it was such a cool comic. Top
5 Marvel guy for me.
I mean, I was super into this. I didn't realize Captain was just Captain. He was not Captain America, just Captain. And they had that whole storyline and like the whole, Tony Stark utilitarian thing, and how Cap is still honorable. Is this the first time Cap picks up Mjolnir?
So, by my recollection, and some unwashed neckbeard out there can correct me on this. Feel free. Your gold star is in the mail. I believe Cap, Steve Rogers, is the second person in comics to ever wield Mjolnir. The first, other than Thor, but the first being Beta Ray Bill in Thor 337. So, less than 60 issues later, you have Steve Rogers lifting it. And for the record, like Steve lifts it for a page. He lifts it to get out of underneath all of the henchmen of Seth, the serpent god of death. his henchmen dogpile him, and the hammer helps him get them all off him. And then he immediately throws it back to Thor. So it's not like we see him like, just hucking it around and bashing people in the face with it. He's really just trying to get the hammer back to Thor. But Thor does make it very clear, like, the reason you were able to lift it is because you're worthy, Steve Rogers. That's why. And they have a good conversation at the end of this issue about worthiness and how Steve has kind of joined a fraternity of very few. So by my count, Joshua, Steve Rogers is the second person other than Thor Odinson to carry Mjolnir at this point in the continuity of comics.
Man, that's cool. Yeah, and I love how it happened too. And it kind of ties back into our little bit of rambling that we did at the beginning of this. Because he wasn't even like, I know I'll be worthy, let me lift this. He was just like swamped. He was like, wait a minute, I shouldn't be able to lift this. Only people who are worthy to be Thor are. Here, Thor. And I'm like, wait, hold up. Like, obviously you picked it up. You should know at that point. Just like, oh, hey, I guess I'm worthy. That's cool.
No, I mean, yeah, it's true, because I think of most Marvel characters that we like are heroes, but Steve is kind of like the hero of heroes, not because of his powers, not because of what he's capable of doing, but because of what he stands for and how he stands for that thing. Being honorable, being upright, being, for the most part, a paragon of virtue. I think it makes total sense.
Yeah. So I'm going to let you unpack a little bit more, because I feel like I just started jumping in and talking about it. But for me, the action part was cool. Thor showing up and being like, why is the world so freaking different now? That was funny. I liked that. But like, it really, like, the thing that like I was like, oh, this is good, was near the end, that conversation you were talking about. Like, I loved that, especially because it's like Thor's like, wait a minute, Iron Man's my friend, but Cap's my friend. If they don't agree, who could possibly be right? And it was like, also, this was a very campy episode. Like, and the bad guys were when I read them, I was reading them as like the bad guys in a He-Man show, like that was the voices that were happening. Yeah, like that is literally the voices that I read that in. Really? But like that conversation at the end was still pretty impactful, and it gets to what I love about Captain America, which is what I want to see in this movie that's coming up. So I'm tying it to the thing, guys. There you go. Captain America, even when it's Sam Wilson, one of the things that he embodies is this virtue that I hold on to a lot of like, hey, just because the end might be good does not make the action good. Yeah. And he always stands by, we do the right thing in the moment that we are in. And for me, this gets a little complicated with like weird metaphysics stuff, because I'm not sure time is real. So I think the moment that we live in is the only moment I know exists. So I'm going to do the right thing in that moment.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing I know exists.
Yeah.
I think that gets to like, for me, doing stuff because you think the outcome is good means that you are that certain you know what the outcome will be, what the future holds. And to me, like, that just takes like a crazy amount of arrogance, which fits Iron Man's character, but it's also why I'm like, Iron Man bad. True. And it's why Iron Man and Cap always kind of like butt heads there, because Iron Man's like, here's what the outcome will be. And Cap's like, we don't know the outcome. Let's do the right thing right now.
Yeah. No, I think that's a really fair critique, especially a critique of this at this time in Cap comics. You notice Cap was not Captain America. He was the captain. And that was because his commission from the United States government had been taken away at this point. He was operating outside of a military function, but he still knew that the world would need him. So he functions outside of, that classic function. And I think that really speaks to Steve Rogers as a character. And even like this feud that Thor is having with Seth, the serpent god of death, is wide spanning, intergalactic. It's gods fighting against gods. And Steve Rogers is like, well, next man up, let's go. And I love how this comic really highlights Steve and Thor's friendship and what their relationship one-on-one is. It speaks to both of their interpretations of what it means to be a hero. So I really enjoy this issue, and I'm glad you chose it, because it is one of my favorite issues of Thor.
Yeah, I am. I can see myself returning this a lot, and it's a larger issue. Like I was like, do I really want to pay for this? And then I'm like, man, I really got my money's worth. Like this is like a meaty comic. But yeah, it's amazing to me how often Captain America isn't associated with the government of America. And I've talked about this before. Like,
Right.
there's always been propaganda in comics. The first Captain America comic was literally a statement about how America needs to join World War II, and on the front had Captain America punching Hitler in the face, right?
We weren't even in the war yet.
Yeah, yeah. And then like you see all these times where like we see government acting in ways that is not worthy of the title of America. And Cap rebels against it. And I think like usually it coincides with times in our own history as American where the comic book writers were seeing something the politicians weren't. And that's what's really interesting for me, the timing of this new movie coming out, Brave New World.
Yeah.
And what's happening in our politics right now. I would say that our country right now is not worthy of the title of America. And that's where like I love like, and I posted this the other day, like on the inauguration day of Donald Trump. I posted that line where Steve says, even if the whole country says something wrong is right, we stand up against it. That is what makes America great, is that you always have a voice. And that's where I'm like, hey, yeah, that's the time. Right now is the time to stand, planted like that tree by the river of truth, a line that Captain America fans know that I can't quote because I'm dumb. But like, I think it's an important time for that. Oh yeah. That's fine. We're not live. But no, is there anything else before we move on from this? I know I got a little preachy there. I'm sorry. From like Thor 390, what do people need to know about this? And how does like these two comics tie into what might happen in this movie?
Honestly, just go read it. I think in their own separate ways, spanning decades, and we'll talk about more recent comics with these two that I have recommendations for later on. I think you really see them play off of Thor in the ways that are true to their character. Thunderbolt Ross is driven by rage and do his own kind of corrections on things, but he's driven by vengeance. And sometimes that gets the job done. It can in a very twisted way, a twisted sense of justice. But Cap also he's just the next man up. I love this about Steve Rogers, that Steve, in the first Avengers movie, one of the great lines that Robert Downey Jr. gets to deliver is that, everything special about Captain America came out of a bottle. And I think that line is meant as a dig, but I actually think it speaks to maybe what's the best about Captain America is that given the right virtues, given the right posture related to power and what to do with power, that is what makes someone truly worthy. We can all pontificate about what we would do with power when we don't have much. But when you're given an incredible responsibility, to borrow the Spider-Man idiom.
I thought you were about to say it.
When you're given great responsibility or great power, the great responsibility part is humongous. And I think Steve Rogers allows us a view of what it looks like when you are responsible with power. And Red Hulk shows what happens when you are irresponsible with power. And I think, we have a little line in our outliner notes here, how does this speak to the themes of today? I think it couldn't speak to the themes more of, what happens when people with great power, with great influence, with great potential are irresponsible with the power, the influence, and the potential they're given. I think it speaks very, very loudly if you're willing to hear. And there was that thing in the Bible where someone said, like, if you have ears, let them hear, whatever.
Yeah, Jesus. But no, I like what you did there. And I think that's really relevant. And that's one of the things that's interesting is super soldier serum. It could either make a good man great or a bad man terrible, right? Like that's what we saw in Captain America: First Avengers. So you see where like, where in that first film, Red Skull happens, and from the same formula, Steve Rogers becomes Captain America. And I think what's interesting, what I'm excited to see with the Red Hulk, is we've seen what happens when Bruce Banner is Hulk, and like that righteous anger monster, like point him in the right direction, we're going to get the bad guy. But what happens when it's someone who isn't as just good? I mean, I know that's like a light word, like a non-highbrow word, but just good as Bruce Banner. What happens if that person gets the Hulk out? You know,
right? Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see what the MCU's version of Thunderbolt Ross as Red Hulk will be, because we know at this point Harrison Ford's portrayal of Thunderbolt Ross is going to be he's president at this point. So how are they going to walk that line? You know, what does Thunderbolt Ross want to do? And then how does the Red Hulk either contradict or confirm those desires of what Thunderbolt wants to do with his power at this point? Because keep in mind, eagle-eyed Marvel fans, Thunderbolt was the one, I believe he was the Secretary of State at the point of Captain America Civil War. And he's the one that insists that they sign the Sokovia Accords, which is essentially the MCU's version of the Superhuman Registration Act from the Civil War comic.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to see how Thunderbolt's politics within the MCU have either changed and matured, or if he's become more entrenched in that very heavy-handed, authoritarian kind of mode of thinking.
Yeah, and we're going to get to some of the actors too. When it comes to General Ross, but I love. Okay, first off, we have to say I am sad about William Hurt. Right, it's sad that he passed, and I'm unsure if they should have recast him, but they did, and I like that Harrison Ford was the choice because this film is now set up. We have a new Captain America, and one thing that the movie can do better than the comics is we can actually move forward. Whereas comics, it's going to keep going back to the same characters because it has to. Right. But the movie is able to move forward. So we have Sam Wilson is now Captain America. We have a black Captain America who doesn't have the super soldier serum going up against Hulk, and it's not just Hulk; it's Harrison Ford. And to get a little bit meta, all of us are like, "Wait a minute, Harrison Ford, isn't he America?" You know, like we think of like Air Force One. We think of like a Clear and Present Danger. Like this man represents, like he represents what we think of as like American movies, and he's going to be the bad guy who's also the president during a new Captain America rising up, and he's probably is going to get to some of the Sokovia Accords, and it's probably going to sound a lot like immigration laws. I'm excited to see where that goes.
Yeah,
but real quick, did you want to go through some of the history of like other people who've played General Ross? Because I know you wanted to talk about Sam Elliott.
So yeah, I never missed an opportunity to talk about Sam Elliott. Sam Elliott, William Hurt, and Harrison Ford are all the men that have brought Thunderbolt to life on film. And I was a big fan of the non-MCU Hulk movie. I know, it got pretty panned. But
that video game was great also.
I loved Sam Elliott as Thunderbolt Ross. I feel like, his voice, he carried himself well. He looks the part. And then William Hurt just his Thunderbolt Ross got better as the MCU went along because he was able to kind of tweak and shift the character. I'm not looking for Harrison Ford to feel like those men. Because they were very military in their approach to the character. And I don't think Harrison's really going to have that opportunity because he has to play Thunderbolt as the president. I'm interested mostly to see how the motion capture comes across, how the Red Hulk part comes across, because I have a feeling we're not going to see how much of Harrison Ford as General Ross are we going to see? And as opposed to how much Red Hulk are we going to see? Does that make sense, Joshua?
Yeah. I'm torn on that because part of me feels like watching commercials that it's like this is a Harrison Ford film featuring Captain America. Like when I watched the first trailer, I was like, okay, so they know why people are going to come to watch. Like I was going to watch it just because it was Captain America, but I
Right.
also would have gone to watch it just because it's Harrison Ford. Like they got me on two accounts.
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm really interested. I love that. I can't think of many other times that Harrison Ford's been a bad guy. So this is exciting for me. I'm like,
Very few.
I'm excited to see how he does it.
Yeah.
And you've seen the General Ross character kind of evolve. Like you mentioned, like he started off, he's just the military guy. He gets more into politics. He's like the Secretary of State during Civil War. He pops up during, is it Infinity War or Endgame? I think it's Endgame. He pops up. And that's the one that really showed to me why he's going to be a villain. Because the rest of the time, it's like, oh, he's just a military guy who is afraid that, hey, maybe Hulk is dangerous for the population. That's actually a valid concern. And then you get to Endgame. Yeah, but then you get to Endgame, and he's like, wait a minute, Cap, we gotta lock you up. It's like, hold up. Aliens just came and, like, effed up the whole world, and you want to stop and arrest the superheroes? Like, come on. And that's where I'm like, oh, this is why he's a bad guy. He is so set, and things have to be according to the law, according to the rules, legalistic, if you will, to trigger my Christian friends. But, I'm like, that's who he is. And then that guy becoming president right now during like what's happening in America, that's what we're going to release in this film. And Harrison Ford is going to be the face. I'm like, oh, well then, hot diggity. Let's see where this goes.
I don't think it'll have any real world ramifications, but I do think it will be a good example of art imitating life. And I'm excited to see how the portrayal comes across. There's always a section of Marvel fans and really just people who want to fight culture wars.
Yeah.
There's always a portion of them. They're gonna get butthurt no matter what happens. But I'm going to see an action movie. Like let's be clear. Like
Yeah.
American Brave New World is going to be an action movie. But also I'm curious to see how much commentary there will be. How much current events commentary, how much cultural commentary there will be. If there's none, awesome. I like action movies. But if there is some, I want to see kind of what a big corporation like Disney is willing to say about like a character that they could go some interesting creative ways with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that's where like for me, the thing that makes me hopeful that they go somewhere that's actually interesting is because of my personal favorite, and I know this is like a bad thing to say apparently. My favorite of the MCU shows, The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, shouldn't surprise anyone. It's Captain America. I have a very low bar. This is like no one's favorite. Everyone's like, no, it's supposed to be WandaVision, or that show's not that great, or what about Loki? And I'm like, I mean, I like those other shows. For me, I think what it is I love political commentary and I love thrillers. And this is both of those things. So I'm like, I love this.
Screw what other people like. I loved the show. It was awesome.
God, I thought so too. In that speech that Sam Wilson does near like that last episode, and he just calls out all of America, and I'm like, oh, this guy's going to be Captain America.
Yeah.
And right now, I think I need that Captain America.
Yeah, no,
I'm sorry. I need him more than Steve Rogers.
Gosh, don't apologize, man. Sam Wilson.
Oh, I was apologizing to Steve here.
Sam Wilson is a strong character. Like, this was also at the time, like when Sam Wilson was first cast as Captain America in comics, that was around the time that my girl Jane Foster picked up the mantle.
Oh, yeah.
Thor. People got, oh my gosh, all sorts of out of shape. It was just like, hey guys, like, I know it's hard sitting in your basement when mom won't bring you down the food you like for video game time. But you might have to put on your big boy pants and fucking get over it and let these creators tell their story. And Sam Wilson is a great character with a long heritage going all the way back to the 70s. So before stupid comes out of your mouth, maybe look at the character in his context. What has the character always stood for? Sam Wilson is a great choice for Captain America. And I think Anthony Mackie is a strong actor who believes in his part, he believes in his role. And I think he is going to absolutely crush this movie because Joshua, he crushed the series. The series was awesome. And like it did have that like Jack Ryan, like political thriller kind of undertones. I love those type of shows and movies because they make me think. And they also have that action component, which is a lot of fun. But that series is really good.
Yeah, I love what they did with the Flag Stomper character, who's now characters, and
Flag
Harley.
Stomper.
Great.
Now, here's where all comic book.
Up. Okay, here we go.
Flag Smasher, man. Come on. Do you even like Marvel, man?
Do I even like Cat? I suck.
Come on.
But also, Baron Zemo was fantastic in this series. But that's not really relevant to the new movie. It's just
Daniel Bruhl
necessary thing to say.
As Zemo was a vibe in that show. So good.
Man, okay. I loved Captain America: Symbol of Truth, 2022 through 2023. And I'm trying to remember who was it who the new Falcon. Do you know who that is?
Joaquin Torres.
His name? Yeah, okay. I couldn't remember his name. Yeah, I loved that character and kind of seeing how much racial commentary they were able to bring out of that. And even some of the earlier Sam Wilson stuff with him and Steve Rogers disagreeing on the border. And I'm like, oh yeah. They could go, if they're going to stay comic accurate, they could get really political with this. And I would love it, personally. I don't think they go too far that way.
Do what's best for the bottom dollar. And I hope that what's best for the bottom dollar is not being cowards.
Yeah. Well, also, yeah, it feels disingenuous to be cowardly about a Captain America movie. Like, the whole point is standing up for truth. Like, that's literally the point. Oh, man. Yeah. And, yeah. So I think watching that series really is probably going to help you get ready for what's going to happen here. There's a lot of things that I would like to see loose ends tied up in this film. I don't know what they will and won't do, but I'm excited for the film. I love Sam Wilson. And even I like She-Hulk a lot and some of what they've done with the Hulks in general. I don't want to spend a ton of time on this, but it is relevant since we're going to have the Red Hulk to kind of contemplate, like, what are they going to do with this Hulk? Because you see She-Hulk and Hulk are both now able to, like, be like normal people who are also Hulk size. Right. Yeah. Abomination did not have that ability. And there's a lot of different ways now, thanks to those shows and like that Incredible Hulk film that was a different actor, but same continuity somehow. Like there are a lot of different ways that Red Hulk could have happened, but so far all the Hulks have been green. So I'm still not sure why we have Red Hulk.
Yeah. No,
is that comic information?
Is that what?
Is that like comic book ready information? Like, could I just read enough comics and I would know why he's red?
You know what? That's a great question that I don't have a solid answer on because I'm not a Hulk expert, Joshua. I know how Jennifer Walters becomes She-Hulk, but I should have done that one extra little bit of research. I should have too. I can speak to this though. I was one of those fans. I was one of those cisgendered. Straight men. Sorry, there's only two genders now. I forgot. I'm a straight white guy who loves rom-coms. I could not get enough of Tatiana Maslany as Jennifer. I loved the She-Hulk series. I thought it was so entertaining, so fun. And all the little nitpicky things, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna get over that pretty fast because I'm an adult and I got stuff to do. But I really enjoyed how meta that movie went. And I'm wondering if any part of Brave New World will play with that kind of meta narrative of the Hulks being fueled by rage and how do you handle rage. I would love to see, we have a little thing in our notes here about cameos we'd like to see, Joshua. I would love to see Tim Roth reprise his role as Abomination. I thought he was fantastic, Tim Roth is good for the movie business. I really enjoy when he shows up and stuff.
Yeah, I really like the She-Hulk. Like, I don't know if I would say love. I enjoyed all of it. I thought it was really funny. The overarching plot I thought was okay, but like it's a sitcom. I don't I didn't expect it to have like the greatest overarching plot of all time. I expected it to make me laugh, and it did. You know, like I came for laughs, I got laughs.
Oh no,
that's what it's there for.
Right.
Yeah, and I don't know. I like how we're seeing more Hulk involvement in there, like these big, like, you know, Jekyll and Hyde kind of monsters. I'm thinking since he's not related to Bruce Banner, we're probably going to see more of a Jekyll and Hyde thing with General Ross in the Red Hulk, where two different personalities, monster and man, but probably neither are good, we should say.
Yeah.
So I'm interested how they play with all that. It'll be fun. But yeah, like you mentioned, we had a few other things in the notes as far as like cameos you'd like to see or like themes that maybe you'd like to see pop up. You want to just anything else to shout out real quick before we...
Cameos, I would love to see Abomination. I would always love to see George St. Pierre reprise his role as Batroc the Leaper. But as far as cameos of characters that we haven't seen, there's a few Captain America villains that I would love to see them bring in. Baron Blood is a super powered vampire that I would love to see them have a good go with. But then also there's a character that I feel is, I don't know, pretty perfect for an inclusion just as like a one-off little villain is Nuke. Nuke is a like nuclear powered like anarchist from the Vietnam War, and I would absolutely love for them to have like a one-off little fight with Nuke. So cameos, yeah, those are ones that I would love to see. And who knows? Maybe let's get a Steve Rogers cameo. I'm hopeful.
Yeah,
I love that the Serpent Society are in this movie. I think the Serpent Society are a really fun group of villains, but watching them in their MCU version will be interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I personally, I would love to see a She-Hulk cameo.
Yeah.
Also, what I want to see end credit scenes that are meant for the geeks again. Because what happened was like mainstream, it got too mainstream, and they started making the end credit scene something that like everybody understood. But like, yo, I remember back when we were like, oh my god, is that Thanos? And everyone was like, what are you talking about? And I want that. You know, like I want it to be like, this is Black Knight, and me and Ryan Doze are like, yeah, and everybody else in the theater's like,
bitches.
Huh? Yeah, that's what I want. Or you know, like a Venom. I guess more people know Venom now. But like ooh, I'm trying to think who else was it that I wanted to see. Harry Styles character would be fun too. Yeah, but there's a lot that they could do.
And
yeah,
you got to be really careful with how you portray Star Fox because his main power is he gets people to fall in love with him. He's very coercive.
I'd like to see David Tennant show up as Kilgrave for absolutely no reason.
No reason.
That would be great. Yeah, he's just there. He's just walking past the White House to make sure we all remember he exists. Why not? Yeah. But as far as like themes, I want it to hit the immigration. I want to hear Harrison Ford say, "Make America Great Again" or something along those lines. I want them to draw some comparison where we know these are the bad guys and Sam Wilson is here to fight them.
I don't think you're going to get Harrison Ford to say that.
Probably not. But I'm surprised he agreed to be a bad guy in a political movie at that. So we'll see.
You said that a couple times, and I just want to push back on it a little bit. I don't think Red Hulk is the big bad of this movie.
Yeah, I mean,
Giancarlo Esposito's character, Sidewinder, is the main big bad because he's the leader of the Serpent Society. Also, Timothy Blake Nelson's character, Samuel Stearns, the leader, is going to be in this movie. So, I think Red Hulk is going to be like the main antagonistic force, but I don't think he's the mastermind. I think Red Hulk happens to him. I don't think Sam is going to end up like his big climactic fight is to stop Red Hulk. I think it's to stop the people behind Red Hulk, if you know what I mean.
Well, if I was going to do some guessing work, I think you're probably right. I think it's going to be a lot like Captain America Winter Soldier, and we showed up for Winter Soldier to be the bad guy. But back then, the MCU was so basic that I didn't expect what happened at all. And I was like, excuse me, sir? And that's why that's like, literally, when you ask me what my favorite movie is, depending on the day, I'll say Winter Soldier, Indiana Jones Temple of Doom, or Star Wars A New Hope. It's going to be one of those three, but it does depend on the day you ask me.
Right.
Yeah. But this will be my final note before we wrap this one up. I I could see Sam Wilson using the power of speech to break through to Harrison Ford, and actually the climactic moment being less of a big fight and more of a, hey, Red Hulk's now anti-hero, get ready for the Thunderbolts. I could see that number. Yeah, that's where I could see it going. Very similar because the MCU likes to retread things, so I could see it doing like a Winter Soldier moment kind of deal.
That would definitely be probably the safest way to go about it.
Yeah, but we shall see. With that, though, we are going to go ahead and wrap this one up. Thank you, Ryan, so much for joining me. Thank you, listeners, or anybody who pops in live or checks this out later. You guys rock too. Before we go, though, I want to see if you could recommend any one Hulk, Captain America, or Red Hulk comic or comic run. What would you recommend for us all, including myself? I might go read right now.
So here's what I would do. If you want something that's going to be related to the movie, Marvel just launched 2 different series. They launched a Greg Pak written Captain America series with Sam Wilson as Cap, and he's got Red Hulk that he's fighting Red Hulk in that series as well. So I would go check that out, and I would go check out the Benjamin Piercy written Red Hulk series that's taking place within Marvel's big event this year called One World Under Doom. So those are the 2 series I would recommend. Go check out what's happening in Marvel Comics right now. Go check out how these stories are being brought into the zeitgeist of what Marvel's doing on a larger scale. I think those will be really good because all those creators are so top notch, and I think they're really going to do a good job of bringing these characters to life in a new and fresh, inventive way.
Yeah. With the move and everything that's happened since October, I've been dropping the ball on Marvel some. So I might pick some stuff up after I read that Justice League that apparently came out today. So thanks for that. Also, if you guys are wondering, Disney does have that like character recap stuff, so you can watch Sam Wilson and some stuff on there that will help you prepare for the movie too. So we hope this was helpful. Go do those things. I'm sure though all of that will be helpful too. Man, you guys rock. Thank you so much for watching this, listening, rating, reviewing, all the stuff that you guys do. If you're on your laptop, consider rating, reviewing our show on Podchaser or Good Pods. It tricks algorithms, so trick them for us. Deceive them into thinking we're important. If you're on your phone, consider rating, reviewing, or commenting on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. Those are like where everybody listens. So if you do it there, those algorithms will like us, and people use those. So that would be cool. And again, we want to thank one of our supporters. So thank you, Amber Riley, again, for sponsoring the show. Yeah, you rock. And remember, if you guys want your own shout out, you can join the show. You can support our show too for $3 a month or more on one of those 3 platforms, Apple Podcasts, Captivate, or Patreon. And guys, we need you to do one really important thing for us. And remember that we're all a chosen people worthy of the title Geekdom of Priests. Later.
Thanks, brother.
Oh, thank you, man.
I do have to get rolling.